You know, for most of human history, we had it all wrong when it came to wealth. We pictured it as a big pile of gold, something you had to fight for, conquer, and then hoard. But then, in 1776, one book came along and completely changed the game. It wasn't just another theory, it was basically a new operating system for the entire world. A code for creating prosperity that, believe it or not, we are still running on today. So this is our explainer of that code and how it really does shape almost every part of your life.
So Adam Smith started with a question that, back then, seemed to have a pretty simple answer. What makes a country rich? And for centuries, the answer was always the same. A king's treasure chest, overflowing with gold, the spoils of war. But Smith looked at that and saw a dangerous illusion. He realized that the real source of wealth wasn't something you could just lock away in a vault. It was something much more alive, much more powerful.
And Smith's answer? Well, it was a revolution in a single idea. He said, wealth isn't a static thing. It's not a pile of gold. It's a flow. It's a current, constantly being generated by the productive power of a nation's people. So it's not about what you have, it's about what you can make. And that one little shift in thinking, right there, that's the foundation of our entire modern world.
Okay, so if wealth is created by people's productivity, how does that engine actually work? Smith's true genius was that he could see these simple interlocking gears that made the whole thing run. And it all starts with a brilliant observation about a task that couldn't be more boring.
He asked us to imagine a single blacksmith. This guy is a generalist. He's skilled, he's strong, but he's never really specialized in just making nails. So he has to do everything himself. He's got to manage the fire, heat the iron, hammer out the nail, create the head, every single step, all alone.
So at the end of a very long, hard day, what's he got to show for it? Maybe, on a good day, a few hundred nails. And as Smith pointed out, they probably wouldn't even be very good nails. So let's just remember that number. That's our baseline.
But then, Smith shows us a completely different way of doing things. Instead of one person trying to do it all, the job is broken down into tiny, simple steps. One worker, all he does is heat the iron. The next one, all he does is forge the shaft. A third worker just crafts the head. Each person becomes a total master of one simple step.
And the result? It is an absolute explosion of productivity. Those 10 specialists working together could churn out tens of thousands of nails in a single day. We're not talking a little bit more, we're talking a mind-boggling increase. And this example perfectly shows us the first major gear in Smith's economic engine.
He gave this a name: the division of labor. See, by making a person's job smaller and more focused, you don't just make them faster, you make them an expert. Their skill level just skyrockets, you waste less material, and it even becomes easier to invent new tools for that one specific task. This is the secret sauce of modern efficiency. It's how we generate so much stuff.
But what makes people want to do this? What motivates them to specialize and trade? Smith points to a force that we often just call greed, but it's more subtle than that. It's self-interest. He argues it's the most reliable, most powerful engine for human action. The baker isn't making your bread out of the goodness of his heart. He's doing it to provide for his own family.
And this is where the magic happens. When millions of people all pursue their own interests, all within a competitive system, something amazing emerges that nobody planned. The baker, trying to make more money than the other bakers, ends up making better and cheaper bread for everyone. The brewers does the same with beer. Smith called this coordinating force the invisible hand. It organizes our society and creates value way more effectively than any king or committee ever could.
This whole system has a built-in regulator: prices. Smith said there are really two kinds of price. There's the market price, that's what you pay for something today, and it bounces around based on supply and demand. But underneath that, there's a natural price, the true underlying cost of actually making the thing and bringing it to you. Smith's insight was that the market price is always being pulled toward the natural price, kind of like gravity. It's the anchor that keeps the whole system honest.
Now, you've got to remember, Smith wasn't just writing theories in a quiet room. His ideas were a direct attack on the economic system of his time, a system he saw as broken, inefficient, and run by what he called the wretched spirit of monopoly. He asked a really important question: what is the single biggest thing that gets in the way of all this natural prosperity? And his answer wasn't what you might think. It wasn't foreign armies or a lack of gold. It was interference. It was anything that stopped the market from being truly competitive.
And the contrast here is just night and day. On one side, you have free competition. That's a force for good. It pushes people to make better things and sell them for less. It benefits all of us. On the other side, you have monopoly. That's the enemy. It lets a small group of people get away with charging us more for worse stuff, and it kills any reason to innovate. To Smith, these monopolies were just a hidden tax on everybody else.
Now, a lot of people hear all this and they get the wrong idea. They think Smith was some kind of anarchist who just wanted to abolish government, but that couldn't be further from the truth. He was super clear that for this free market to work, you absolutely need a strong but limited government to do three essential things. 1. Protect the country from outsiders. 2. Provide a fair justice system so no one can cheat or oppress anyone else. And 3. Build the big important stuff like roads and bridges that benefit everyone but wouldn't be profitable for any one person to build. That's the framework. That's the soil where prosperity can grow.
So, fast forward almost 250 years. Why are we still talking about this old book? It's because Smith didn't just give us an economic theory. He gave us a powerful set of mental models, new ways of seeing the world that are just as relevant today.
We can boil his wisdom down to three huge takeaways. First, think in systems. The economy isn't a machine where you can just pull a lever and get a predictable outcome. It's more like a complex ecosystem that regulates itself. Second, incentives are everything. If you understand what motivates people, what's in their self-interest, you can pretty much predict how they'll act. And third, trade isn't a fight. It's not a zero-sum game where my gain has to be your loss. It's a creative act that actually makes the pie bigger for everyone.
And this isn't just some abstract theory, right? The division of labor is the reason you have a specialized job title and aren't just a general farmer. The invisible hand is why a massive city can feed itself every single day without a director of food. And the whole idea of trade creating wealth is at the absolute heart of every single debate we have about globalization. Smith's code is still running in the background of our entire world.
When you boil it all down, Smith's message is one of profound trust in freedom and in people. He argued that you don't create prosperity from some grand top-down plan. It doesn't come from a brilliant king. It just emerges. It grows organically and powerfully from the simple, natural drive of millions of individuals, each just trying to make life a little bit better for themselves and their families.